Welcome to Local SEO Tactics, where we bring you tips and tricks to get found online. I am producer Caleb Baumgartner, and in this episode, Bob, Jesse, and Sue discuss the ongoing impact of the COVID pandemic. Are there fresh approaches to take to improve your business in this time? Is there COVID-related information on your website or GMB that needs to be updated? The crew discusses what changes your business can make to keep up to date on this situation. Got a question? Let us know at localseotactics.com/questions. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Local SEO Tactics, where we bring you tips and tricks to get found online. I'm your host, Jesse Dolan, here again with Sue Ginsburg, Bob Brennan, answering questions and hopefully solving some situations for people out there. Before we dive into the episode here today, Sue, with the question, we were just talking, we want to bring up the fact a few episodes ago, you had a quote that you mentioned on here that we weren't sure exactly who authored it, and we were just looking for some feedback. And we did have a couple people, like I think within an hour or two of the episode dropping, send in their answer to track down who actually the quote was by. And as promised, we're going to fire off a couple t-shirts to them. But I don't know if you have their information offhand, but we want to kind of mention that to close the loop for everybody that, problem has been solved.
And the quote was something about a wise man asks questions, not gives answers. So yes, a big thank you to Kim and to Michael for doing your research and getting us the source of that quote. Really appreciate that, and appreciate you taking the time and effort to let us know that. And for your effort, soon you will both be the proud owners of the fine Intrix t-shirt that everybody wants.
Now you're exaggerating a little bit, Sue. I don't see him on eBay quite yet. I got an eBay alert set up though. As soon as they pop up,
I get just for the record, I get paid in Intrix t-shirts. I'm up to about 30, 35 is my current payment for Intrix t-shirts.
You're either going to strike it rich or they're going to be on a garage sale someday.
Exactly.
But we'll see.
Someday I'll get money instead of Intrix t-shirts.
But no, we all thought it was kind of cool just because that's the first time, Sue, you've really asked for help out there outside of these questions, and to get an immediate response from some sleuths was pretty cool. So some well-deserved t-shirts there.
Google sleuths, I like it. Google sleuths.
Right. All right. So Sue, where are you at virtually today?
Today I am virtually and in real life in beautiful Minneapolis, where it is a gorgeous summer day, I'll still say. And I especially wanted this backdrop with the sailboats because you will see in a few minutes that it fits in very well with the quote of the day.
Super.
So today's question: how can your online presence help you most during this stage of COVID, about 18 months into it? Jesse, you talked about this probably about 18 months ago when COVID first hit, because this was on everybody's mind, especially so much of the world and work world went to online presence. And now, depending on where you are, COVID is back or COVID is slightly back, and there's some modifications to our everyday lives, whether that's masks or lockdowns or whatever. And people again are turning towards the internet. So I thought it'd be a great question for you to talk about and refresh everybody's memory on some tips and tricks that can help them during this stage of COVID as we revisit it, whatever that stage is, depending on where you are. So quote of the day today: to reach a port, we must set sail. Sail, not tie at anchor. Sail, not drift. And then I have sailboats in my background.
It all comes together.
That quote is from Franklin Roosevelt. Who knew? I want to share a story about a conversation I recently had with one of our clients, great teacher, a very natural teacher who was putting together some courses and realized that the courses she was putting together were actually training her competitors, training people much newer to the field than she is, and who then went out and were offering some of the same services or similar services to her with much, much less experience. When she saw her students doing this, setting up shop and becoming her competitors, she realized that she had to change course and is redirecting her talents now to create training for her customers, not her competitors. And I really acknowledge that shift in direction, because it's not easy. Whatever our direction is, we're sailing, not drifting, and being intentional about that is really, really important. I think an important key to success in business and in everything else. So similar to COVID hitting us and all examining how we need to redirect, I thought that was an apt story today. So to our listeners and the business owners out there, I'd ask you to think back to when COVID first hit. Can you remember what that was like, particularly for your business? Everybody was making changes and shifts in our personal lives, whether that was kids now were being remote school, or kids coming home from college, or kids coming home from anywhere because they knew that they could be safe in their parents' home. But looking at your business, what was that like? Were you shut down? Did you have a brick and mortar location that was shut down, or that was downsized and now only a few people could come in? Did you have to reconfigure how you did business or how your employees worked? Amidst all that uncertainty, there were so many things to consider. And now, or sometime recently, when it's been some time and we seem to be in some kind of new routine, COVID takes a twist and things seem to be changing again. So I thought good question to ask the experts, and the point being, all businesses, no matter what, whether it's during COVID or at another point, need to find new ways of doing things and redirect their efforts. The more intentional about it you are, I believe, the more likely you are to find success in that new redirect. And hopefully Jesse and Bob can help us with some updated or some information on how your online presence can help you as you're looking at the next redirect, whatever that may be for your business.
I want to say, Sue, I think there's a lot of real cool tie-ins here for some of the stuff you're talking, the stories. And I think a good overall message on this, because who knows, as this episode stands the test of time, what we may be facing, 6 months, a year, 2 years from now. But I think a good lesson here is like you said, if the sailing, right, the movement, the adaptation. I think there's also parallels for, keeping things in perspective to make sure you're updating, right? You're not letting things go stale. Whether it's, as an example, I think we've all either had on our own websites or visited websites where somebody has a blog or news and updates, and it's 2 years old or a year old, right? Or you started something and you didn't stop it. I think there's some connotations with this COVID stuff that's very similar. Like you said, a year and change ago, everybody's, we're putting banners on our websites and things in the windows about what we do, don't do, and things like that. And then, at least for us up here in Minnesota, and we'll speak to this, Bob, there's down south, they're indoors in the heat of the summer, right? Up north, we're indoors in the middle of the winter. So there's a little different seasonality for how some of this has impacted people. But, before we were posting these things and doing special things with our stores or how we would interact with clients. And earlier this spring for us, we're getting back outside again up north. We're feeling like it's over with, right? And now we're heading into the fall, about to be going back indoors while things are spiking, in different parts of the country. I think a lot of business owners are thinking about, what do we got to do again? What are our policies and procedures? Are we changing? Are we pivoting? And to your point here, Sue, if nothing else, this gives everybody listening a pause to say, do I need to update that, right? Is my information stale? Is it outdated? Is it reflective with how we're actually operating nowadays? Whether you don't do things anymore that you are sharing online, or you need to put some things online, right? That you are doing, that people are asking for. I think that's one cool aspect of what you're bringing up. And then the other is, and this is Bob, where I'll kind of defer to you. This is really one of your specialty areas, is paying attention to the clients and the customers and the prospects, right? If they're walking in, calling in, whatever, what are these things they're asking about, right? and translate that to, do you have it on your website, right? Or your business, right? Or your front door. That's pretty important to pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, and I, I think we're in for another round of, COVID, not, or, how to, the whole Delta variant. We're in for probably another month or two, come at least in the Midwest and other colder climates, probably even out east, as we go inside. So as a business person, I would say, how's this going to affect me? And then how does that parlay into the website? So and we kind of caught wind of things where, as COVID initially was breaking out, people were calling. We work and have a cell phone repair business. So people were calling us and saying, I do not want to come in the store. Can you come out and get the phone from me? I'll give you my credit card type of deal. And so you basically adjust to that. And when you hear that, multiple times, obviously you need to offer curbside service. And we went to the extreme of offering a van that would come to you and we would do the repair, at your business or home. And that business evolved and seems to be going pretty good. So you're going to have to adapt. And I think it's going to have to start with the attitude of, a fighting attitude that you're going to make it through it, and that nobody is going to be there to help you, so to speak. And that's easy, it's easy to say since we've had some success. We're kind of on the other side of things. It's not easy to say if you're a restaurant owner or other businesses that just really, it's going to be difficult to adapt. We have a lot of clients that, quite honestly, they couldn't adapt, and they had to, they just had to duck for cover, so to speak. And so you can't beat yourself up if you don't come up with a solution. I mean, if you're a restaurant, you deliver and do what you can, and get that out on the web. Point is in this situation, here we're doing this. September 9th is when we're doing this. I don't know when it'll be published, but ultimately, if you're in the north, what's going to happen here in terms of things are going to spike. Things are going to start to either shut down or be monitored or be compromised. You should know right now and begin to develop a plan that, you're going to shift your business this way and start to figure out how you're going to publish that on the web or get that out on your website and adjust accordingly.
Yep.
So, I mean, that short answer is start planning now, because we all should have started planning back in July. You can make fun of certain states in the South and what's going on there, which is a horrible thing to do. But basically, or you can learn from it and say, yeah, it's coming to me. The older I get, the more I make fun of somebody, the more likely it comes back and kicks me in the butt. It's like, well, right. This is, so that's the kind of the spirit of what I'm trying to tell you is get ready. It's not gloom and doom, and it's not going to be an end of, it's not, this isn't the end of things, but there is going to be a hiccup, and hopefully we start to see an end evolving out of this in the spring, in the summer, because it'll be effectively 2 years, much like the Spanish flu. But we're not out of the woods yet, and we need to adjust and adjust our site accordingly. That's my 2 cents.
I'd also like to take that up a notch to the global level. You're talking about the US, but from what I understand, Australia is in terrible shape right now, COVID-wise. I know Spain just essentially closed its borders because they're having really high cases, and whatever the seasonality is, you talked a lot about weather, but I think it also is, we expected and got a spike after Thanksgiving last year because we knew people would be gathering. And right. There's so many different reasons that can trigger this all around our country and around the world. Like you said, you just have to try and anticipate that as best as you can and react accordingly to keep people updated. Let your customers know what they need to know. Yeah, and develop a plan.
So on that, I think that's another part to mention here is, like you're saying, Bob, you have a plan. So you're saying let customers know. Let's just talk real quick about some of the things, revisit it for everybody on how you can do that, right? So one of the things is your Google My Business listing. Again, if you don't have a GMB, super important for your local SEO, check out a lot of our previous episodes. We're not going to dive into what is a GMB, how to set it up, right? Go do that. And if you do have one, pay attention to the attributes. If you go into the info tab, once you're logged into your GMB, there's gonna be a bunch of attributes that you can turn on or turn off, say you do or don't offer. Those are changing all the time, and they've changed a lot with COVID, right? Depending on the business category you're in, you can have options like curbside service, in-store shopping, at-home appointments. These questions people are asking, Google now has specific attributes for you to turn on or off, and these are going to show on your GMB listing, right? So when somebody searches again for auto repair Minneapolis or whatever your product in your location is, in your GMB listing, they'll show those attributes right on there. So people will know before they even visit your website, whether you do or don't kind of meet whatever criteria they're looking for. Again, depending on who your client base is, know your avatar. In some cases, you may say, no, we're open, be damned, right? And if that's your MO, make sure you communicate that. If you're on the other side and you're kind of more, you want to communicate the safety and the things like that. Yeah, staff gets temperatures, staff must wear masks. There's all kinds of attributes to communicate those things. So take advantage of those on your GMB. And of course, your website. Your website is yours. You can do whatever you want. The GMB stuff is pre-templated. You choose between the options Google's given you. But for your website, a lot of clients that we worked with, they had us put like banners at the top, right? Just kind of a quick drop down, not to take up the entire page, but just a notice at the top, make it red or somehow stand out. What precautions are you having? Do you have to schedule appointments online? Again, whatever these things that you're doing to pivot. And Bob, to your point, if you've got a plan on maybe how it escalates or whatever, these are the areas you'd update it. You can have a little banner on your website that you can click, then go to a page with more information. You don't have to take up your entire homepage with your COVID protocol. I think very early on, a lot of people did that because it was like the A1 thing people wanted. But as we move forward, it's more of now the convention is people kind of know that it should exist somewhere, and I click on it, and then I go get more information. And just make sure those pages are communicating what you're doing to pivot. Make sure they're updated again, that they're accurate. If you threw this stuff up last spring or last summer even, and you're thinking that it's accurate for now, just give it a double check. If you don't have anything implemented, or at least have it on hand, Bob, like you're saying, with a plan, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 2 months, you're ready to deploy it. And just kind of keep it as, again, like a blog or anything else, something that you're revisiting once in a while. Put it in your calendar once a month to maybe check it out, or once a quarter to check it out, whether it's Delta variant or some unknown variant at the time of this recording. I think we all know that, this isn't just going to simply just go away. It's going to be something that has to be dealt with for a while. And there's a lot of lessons to pull out of this, even if it's not COVID, which is the topic here. Other things about your business, whether it's seasonality, right, or a new product or new service. There's lots of things to communicate. We talk, Bob, you especially, a lot in episodes about giving answers to people. If they're asking these questions, when they call, right, or when they stop in or when they email, try to give them those answers. In this vein, we're talking, pay attention to what they're looking for COVID, because there's for sure people that will make decisions on who they're going to patronize just based off of what their response is and what they're looking for on a personal level. And that's really speaking your avatar and understanding them. So I don't know. I think there's a lot to unpack there for everybody. Some good reminders. No explicit action items or like SEO tips here. But I think some of this does revolve around, some of the conversion optimization or click-through type stuff. Like we said before, if you're in a space, maybe you're a restaurant, and in your neck of the woods, people are looking for that safe area. If you're putting out those signals that you are complying and you're taking these measures, if people are looking for that, you're going to get those clicks, you're going to get those visitors to your website, and Google's going to see that authority and that prominence, and it in an indirect way is going to help your SEO over time, right? So there's a slight SEO tie in here by paying attention to what your crowd is looking for, what your audience is looking for, and providing that online. That's kind of an underlying takeaway here. And again, I'm trying to spin it where it's not necessarily COVID related, but just generally speaking, if you can pay attention to your audience and represent their needs online, you're going to be in a good position, for your business to win their business. So hopefully that helps everybody out.
Jesse, the flip side of that is it's been going on for a very long time. I think most of us have experienced at least once where you go online, they say they're open, you get there, they're not open, or right, they say they're open until 8 o'clock or whatever. You do not want to make a negative impression.
Yes.
Right.
on Somebody who's coming to ask for your services or your
Stay
product.
up to date, stay accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've talked before about people are way more prone to leave you a negative review for a one negative interaction than if you had a knock your socks off deal, right? So yeah, definitely I want to avoid that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's pretty good. Rounded it out for everybody. Sue, if you have some closing thoughts you'd like to share.
Okay, if you remember one thing and one thing only, successful businesses sail, they don't drift. Whether it's COVID redirect or any other pivot, be mindful of the changes that you need to make and make sure you communicate that to your customers. You want to keep them in the loop and make sure they know whatever the change is. So again, quote of the day today: to reach a port, we must set sail, sail, not tie at anchor, sail, not drift. That's what we all need to do.
Perfect.
Keep moving with it. All right. If anybody out there listening has a question, maybe on this topic, something to follow up, dive deeper into, or something else that's just been bugging you for a while, we'd love to hear about it and answer it on the show. Go out to localseotactics.com, scroll down to the bottom, click on the link for questions. You can type in the form and send it off. Sue's going to get that and we're going to talk about it. Or if you'd like to get a free Intrix t-shirt, take the next step to call in. Leave the voicemail, record the question that you have on. We'll play it on the air, answer it. Sue will still reach out to you because we're going to get your t-shirt size, right? And all that stuff. And hopefully, if you have a good question, you're not bashful, you reach out to us. We'll use it on the show. And if, like you say, if you're thinking about it, I'm sure somebody else is. And we can all help each other out here. So good insight, guys. Appreciate the time. And we'll catch everybody in the next episode. Take care.